After the incident with his older brother, Ethan kept a low profile at Blackwood Academy. The usual pranks and troublemaking ceased. Any free moment he had, regardless of where he was on campus, he'd pull out a fountain pen and begin the arduous task of copying the Aeneid in its original Latin. He worked in the quiet corners of the Sterling Library, in the empty gazebos dotting the great lawn, and even on the floor of the hallway when a professor kicked him out of class, his paper and pen always with him. The campus proctors, so used to his regular visits to the disciplinary office, actually came looking for him once, concerned by his prolonged absence. One afternoon, after lunch, Ethan was alone in a secluded pavilion overlooking the campus lake. The structure sat on a high point, surrounded by water on three sides, offering both a commanding view and a welcome solitude. He had grown tired of the constant teasing from his classmates about his punishment. At first, he'd play along with a self-deprecating joke or a sharp retort, but the novelty had worn off. Now he just sought out quiet places. After filling 2 more pages with dense script, Ethan straightened up, rolling his sore neck. He noticed someone walking up the winding stone path toward him. Ethan raised an eyebrow. Everyone at Blackwood knew he spent his post-lunch hours here at the Overlook. They all made a point to give him a wide berth. So what did this person want? Ethan stopped writing and waited. As the figure entered the pavilion, Ethan recognized him. It was the student he'd pulled out of the lake a few weeks ago. He figured the guy was probably here to offer his thanks. As expected, once inside, the student gave Ethan a deep, formal nod. Ethan shifted slightly to the side. The student, whose name was Julian, expressed his profound gratitude for Ethan's help that day. Ethan, however, didn't take the CR. He explained that he wasn't the hero. Julian had nearly dragged him under with him. He suggested Julian should thank Damian Vance instead, since it was Damian's personal security who had actually pulled them both from the water. A flush crept up Julian's handsome face, and he stood there, struggling for words. Ethan suddenly felt a pang of regret, realizing his mistake. He told Julian it was thoughtless of him to suggest he go thank Damian personally, knowing the social gulf between them. He assured Julian that he had already thanked Damian, so the debt was settled. Julian shouldn't worry about it anymore. Julian seemed to relax. He then clarified that he had come not only to thank Ethan but also to apologize for the trouble he had caused. His gaze drifted to the pages of Latin spread across the stone table. Ethan was momentarily confused, unsure of what he meant. Julian leaned in, his voice barely a whisper, and asked if Ethan might require his assistance. It took Ethan a moment to understand the implication. Julian was offering to help him cheat. Ethan just waved a hand, dismissing the idea. He lamented that, if it were possible for someone else to do the copying, he wouldn't be spending every day hiding out here. Julian glanced around before taking another step closer, his voice even lower. He confessed that while it might be impossible for others, it was not for him. He had a knack for imitating handwriting, a skill he had cultivated since childhood that no one else at the academy knew about. Ethan's head snapped toward him. Julian met his gaze without flinching, a silent testament to his sincerity. Ethan felt a flicker of temptation. Julian moved to the table, picked up the 2 pages Ethan had just finished, and studied them intently. He traced the shapes of the letters in the air with his index finger, then picked up Ethan's pen and wrote a single line on a blank sheet of paper. Ethan stared, dumbfounded, at the 2 documents. It wasn't just that the man could forge handwriting. It was that he could so perfectly replicate Ethan's own chaotic, almost illegible scrawl. It was a work of genius. Ethan threw an arm around him, his voice full of warmth as he asked how long it would take to finish the whole text. Julian, blushing slightly, calculated that it would take about 10 days. When Ethan balked at the long time frame, Julian nervously suggested 7. Ethan laughed and clapped him on the shoulder, telling him that while his dedication was admirable, it was unnecessary. 10 days would be perfect. However, Ethan added there was a complication. His brother had demanded to see gradual improvement in his penmanship. He wondered how that could be faked. Julian, unperturbed, assured him it wouldn't be a problem. It would just require a bit more effort. He told Ethan to entrust the entire task to him. If Ethan had any doubts, Julian offered to deliver the previous day's work to him every 2 days for inspection. 10 days later, Ethan received the completed manuscript from Julian at the same overlook. He carefully flipped through it from the first page to the last, comparing it with his own initial pages. He couldn't help but slam his hand on the table in admiration. It was more than a perfect imitation. It was identical. Julian had even noticed and replicated his habit of redipping his fountain pen in the inkwell every 7 or 8 words, and the subtle difference in pressure between his horizontal and vertical strokes. His brother would never know. Ethan was certain that even a professional forensic analyst would need a computer to tell the difference. Grinning, Ethan tucked the manuscript under his shirt and hurried away from the pavilion. Julian remained behind, watching until Ethan's figure disappeared into the colonnades. He bit his lip, then pulled a small, gilded Zippo hand warmer from his sleeve, rubbing it gently between his palms. But the forged manuscript was never turned in. The relationship between the two brothers had grown cold and strained. Alex had never been so angry with him, and the punishment had been humiliating. While Ethan didn't hold a grudge, a wall had risen between them. He felt awkward around Alex, never knowing what to say. For his part, Alex treated Ethan with an icy indifference. He no longer invited Ethan to stay with him at his off-campus apartment during long weekends. Even when they crossed paths at their parents' house, Alex would look straight through him. At least their father still offered a condescending sniffle in his direction. Back in his dorm after classes, Ethan would send one of the younger housekeepers to Alex's apartment to discreetly ask what his brother was doing and what his mood was like. Each time, the report was the same. Ethan would pace his room, the forged pages in hand, his dorm mates growing dizzy just watching him. But he never managed to take a single step out of his own dorm building. That night, lying in bed, Ethan let out a heavy sigh into his pillow. He gave up. He would just have to copy it all himself. If he was going to defy his father, he would have done it from the start and suffered the consequences, rather than endure weeks of this misery. He could have just hidden out at the senator's mansion. The worst that could happen was getting dragged back for a thrashing. And so, Ethan continued copying the Aeneid, all the way until the 4th of July weekend. On the morning of the 4th, the academy held only a half day of classes. Before heading to campus, Ethan stopped by his mother's suite to say hello. The place was bustling with people. His stepmothers and younger half-siblings were all there. When Ethan arrived, the women gently nudged their children forward to greet him. Ethan nodded and smiled in return. His mother, beaming, pulled him close, fussing over his clothes and pressing a piece of homemade cherry pie into his hand from a delicate porcelain plate, watching him eat it before shooing him off to class. But as he turned to leave, his 6th stepmother, a woman who rarely spoke up, stopped him. His mother glanced over at her. The woman and her daughter, Ava, approached. Ava held out a small hand-stitched pouch in a festive red, white, and blue fabric. She looked up at him shyly and murmured that it was a 4th of July sachet she had made for him. Ethan was surprised. He hadn't been particularly close to his half-siblings since arriving at Blackwood. It wasn't intentional. He was rarely home, and when he was, they were always so timid around him that he usually just gave them a nod and moved on. The stepmother explained quietly that Ava's stitching wasn't very good yet, but the pouch was filled with herbs meant to ward off bad luck, perfect for tucking into his school bag. Ethan looked at the 8-year-old girl and the pouch she held. The stitches were indeed a bit uneven, but it was clearly her own work. He quickly took it, personally tying it to his belt loop. A small smile touched Ava's lips, revealing 2 dimples just like his own. He couldn't resist ruffling her hair. He then untied the jade ring hanging from his own belt and handed it to her, thanking her and telling her how much he loved the sachet. Ava's ears turned red. His mother smiled warmly, telling Ava to graciously accept her brother's gift. The stepmother breathed a sigh of relief. Ethan smiled at Ava, telling her to have her mother bring her and her twin brother, Aiden, to his dorm to visit during the next long weekend. He then asked his mother if there were any more sachets like it, explaining that he wanted to give them as gifts. Before his mother could answer, the 6th stepmother nodded eagerly, saying she had made several more herself, and that hers were much neater. Another stepmother chimed in, offering the ones she had made as well. His mother, sipping her tea, noted that his 6th stepmother's needlework was the finest, and her sachets would be the most suitable for gifting. Ethan chose a few of the more masculine-colored pouches and took them to his homeroom. The classroom wasn't full yet. He crouched down and personally tied a navy blue sachet to his friend Leo's wrist. Leo was thrilled, showing it off to everyone. The other boys in their clique initially scoffed, teasing Ethan for being so sentimental. But then Ethan pulled several more pouches from his bag and let them pick their own. They all happily chose one and put it on. Only one pouch was left. Leo nudged Ethan's sleeve and gestured with his eyes toward Damian Vance, who was sitting behind him. Ethan had seen Damian the moment he walked in. The guy was impossible to ignore. But lately, the sight of him filled Ethan with a simmering annoyance. He hadn't even bothered with a greeting, pretending he didn't see him. He had expected Damian to cause trouble, but the guy acted as if he didn't even know Ethan existed, his eyes never leaving the book in his hands. Leo blinked emphatically at Ethan, then drew a finger across his throat in a gesture. Ethan just shrugged and tossed the last pouch back into his bag. He muttered that even if it wasn't some priceless treasure, he wasn't about to let it be wasted on someone who might just cut it off with a knife for sport. It was the 4th of July, a perfect day for a wedding. Wyatt Vance, a friend from their class, had an older brother who was getting married that day. As soon as classes were dismissed, Ethan's friends, Ryan and Chris, went with Wyatt to his family's estate, the home of a powerful senator. Ethan, however, parted ways with them, rushing back to his family's home. He didn't go to his own suite but headed straight for the kitchen, instructing the chef to pack a 3-tiered thermal container full of food from their barbecue. Then he left again, heading for the Department of Justice building downtown. In the car, he told the driver to hurry. The driver and his valet, Finn, both stared at him in confusion. Earlier that morning, when he'd gone to see his mother, Alex hadn't been there. He learned that his older brother was buried in a major case and had been sleeping at his office for days. He wouldn't even be home for the holiday. Their mother had been heartbroken, her eyes welling up at the mere mention of it. The DOJ wasn't far. A few minutes later, the car pulled up. Finn got out and spoke to the stone-faced federal agents guarding the entrance. But this was a high-security federal building. Unauthorized personnel were strictly forbidden, even as the direct brother of a top assistant U.S. attorney. Ethan was politely denied entry. Hearing this from the car, Ethan got out himself, carrying the container. He didn't want to cause trouble for the agents. He smiled and explained that he just wanted to drop off some food for his brother for the holiday. He told them they could open it and inspect it according to protocol if needed. The agent quickly refused, respectfully assuring him there was no need. He promised to have it delivered to AUSA Hayes immediately and told Ethan not to worry. Ethan nodded his thanks and got back in the car, heading for the senator's estate. After he left, the agents at the door started whispering, marveling at the family resemblance between the two brothers. The line of black cars outside the senator's estate stretched for blocks. Ethan had his driver go around to a service entrance, where a valet was waiting for him. He was led to Wyatt's private wing of the mansion. A long table was set up on the veranda, where Ryan and Chris were already eating. A server quickly set a place for him. Chris, swallowing a mouthful of food, explained that things were chaotic. Wyatt hadn't even had a chance to eat. His older brother had pulled him away to help greet guests. After lunch and a short nap in Wyatt's rooms, Ethan and his friends went to watch the ceremony. It was the first time Ethan had witnessed such a grand, high-society wedding. The bride was the granddaughter of a former Secretary of State. The backyard was said to be so overflowing with wedding gifts that you couldn't walk through it, a fact that made the society wives and daughters in attendance green with envy. As dusk fell, the sky filled with the colors of sunset, and the ceremony began. Wyatt's brother, the groom, rode in on a magnificent horse, flanked by a group of impeccably dressed young men from prominent families. Behind them was a procession of attendants. Ethan and his friends, using their youth as an excuse, shamelessly pushed their way to the front to get a better view. As the bride was helped from a vintage Rolls-Royce, her face covered by a veil, and led toward the altar, a chill ran down Ethan's spine. He shook his head, trying to clear it, but the image from Damien's ghost story, of a skeletal bride being dragged forward by a ghostly matchmaker, flashed relentlessly in his mind. He watched the real bride in her red dress being escorted to the ceremony and shivered. Chris grabbed his arm, telling him to hurry so they could watch the vows. Ethan followed them numbly through the ceremony. Afterward, Ryan tried to pull him toward the reception hall, excited to watch the traditional hazing of the groom. But Ethan sank to the ground, refusing to move. Ryan, exasperated, asked what was wrong with him. They had been waiting all day for this part. Ethan just muttered that he was tired and wanted to go back to Wyatt's room to rest. Ryan looked at him strangely, reminding him that he'd been napping all afternoon. The group of them managed to drag him to a window overlooking the reception. The room was bathed in a crimson light that made Ethan's heart pound. The groom was using a ceremonial silver letter opener to lift his new wife's veil. Ethan instinctively raised a hand to cover his eyes. Ryan laughed in disbelief, asking what on earth he was doing. Ethan, unable to explain his unease, mumbled that he was just shy. Ryan couldn't stop laughing. He teased that it wasn't Ethan getting married, so what was there to be shy about? A group of older boys standing nearby overheard them and started laughing too, joining in the teasing. Under the evening sky, Ethan's face turned a deeper shade of red than the bride's makeup. When he finally returned to his dorm that night, he forced a smile through dinner with his housemates, then retreated to his room, claiming exhaustion. He had the housekeeper draw him a bath and went to bed early. His friends exchanged confused glances. The Ethan they knew would have been out celebrating until the early hours of the morning on a holiday weekend. What had happened to him? One of them, Bella, quietly pulled his valet, Finn, aside to ask. Finn just scratched his head, explaining that Ethan had been fine at the senator's estate, but his mood had soured on the ride back. He guessed that maybe he'd had a fight with Wyatt and the others. Bella scoffed at the idea, saying their Ethan was too easygoing to let a simple argument ruin his mood for so long. She glared at Finn, accusing him of not taking proper care of Ethan. Finn, rubbing his arm where she'd pinched him, begged for mercy. With no answers from him, the others didn't dare disturb Ethan. They kept a worried watch in the common area outside his room. Hours passed. Around 11, the campus clock tower chimed. The friends, who had been dozing off in chairs, startled awake. They heard the sound of rustling from within Ethan's room. He was still awake. Bella tiptoed to the incense burner and added a few calming herbs. As she moved to peek through the curtain, they heard a knock on the front door. They all groaned internally, cursing whoever had the nerve to come calling so late. The most good-natured of them, Chloe, threw on a robe and went to answer it, her face a mask of annoyance. A moment later, she returned, head bowed, leading in Alex, still dressed in his suit from work. Bella and the others stared, stunned for a moment before remembering their manners and offering a quiet greeting. Alex stood in the doorway, looking into the inner room. He frowned. He asked why so many lights were still on so late and if Ethan wasn't asleep yet. Before Bella could answer, Ethan's clear voice came from behind the screen. Alex? Alex walked over. Ethan was sitting up in bed, one hand holding back the light curtain. He was in his pajamas, his hair messy, but his eyes were bright and alert. He didn't look the least bit sleepy. Alex flicked his forehead. What time is it? Why are you still up? I was asleep, Ethan grumbled, rubbing his head. You can ask them. Couldn't sleep. It's not my fault. Outside the screen, Bella quickly confirmed that Ethan had indeed gone to bed very early. Alex reached out and felt his forehead. It was cool. He asked if he was feeling unwell. Alex had just come in from the chilly night air, and his fingers were cool against Ethan's skin. Ethan rubbed his forehead against them, mumbling that he would have said something if he was sick. He knew better than to hide it and risk a worse punishment. Alex let out a small, wry laugh. Ethan looked up at his brother. I should be asking you, what are you doing in my dorm in the middle of the night? Alex just grunted, saying it was nothing. He had just wanted to check on him before leaving. A sly grin spread across Ethan's face. Was the food good? Alex lowered his gaze, seeing Ethan's eyes curve into crescent moons, a look of pure mischief. He couldn't help but flick him again. It was terrible. Hey, Alex. Ethan shamelessly threw his arms around Alex's waist. We haven't seen each other in so long. Can't you say something nice? Am I your real brother or not? Alex tried to pull away but couldn't. He sighed, exasperated. My suit is damp with dew. You're a grown man now, stop being so clingy. Ethan rubbed his face against the dark, tailored fabric of Alex's suit. It was indeed damp. He quickly sat up. Then you should take it off. Hey Alex, why don't you just stay here tonight? The night air is cold. It's not good for you to be running back and forth. Before Alex could respond, Ethan turned and ordered Bella to go to Alex's apartment and fetch a change of clothes for him, and to let his wife know he'd be staying over. When he turned back, Alex was watching him with an amused, knowing look. Ethan just grinned back, a picture of innocence. Alex ended up taking a quick shower in Ethan's bathroom. After they were both settled in bed, it was already past midnight. Ethan draped himself over Alex like an octopus, murmuring a constant stream of sweet nothings and compliments. Alex, resigned, finally patted his back. All right, what do you want? Ethan's eyes darted around. Want? I don't want anything. You haven't been talking to me these past few weeks. I haven't even had an appetite. Material things are the last thing on my mind. Alex nodded slightly. Good. Then I'm going to sleep. You don't have to end the conversation so quickly, Ethan pouted. Was the food today really that bad? I even told the chef to pack the best pieces for you. Alex chuckled, rubbing his temples. I suggest you stop beating around the bush and just say what you want. I'm exhausted. I might fall asleep before you get to the point. Ethan propped himself up, his eyes wide with concern. Alex, is your headache acting up again? Should I call a doctor? Alex waved a hand. It was nothing, just fatigue. Then let me rub it for you, Ethan offered, sitting up and rolling up his sleeves. I won't bother you. You can just sleep if you're tired. Alex laughed softly. Don't be ridiculous. What do you know about that? I know a lot, Ethan retorted. He reached out, his soft fingertips applying a gentle pressure to the space between Alex's eyebrows, slowly massaging the tension away. Alex didn't answer, but his dark eyelashes fluttered shut, and the frown lines on his forehead smoothed out. Ethan smiled and shifted, grabbing another pillow to place under Alex's neck. He adjusted his position, his fingers gently working through Alex's dark, silky hair, massaging his scalp in small circles. Alex suddenly opened his eyes. This doesn't feel like an amateur. Where did you learn this? Ethan's hands faltered for a second. He mumbled something about finding a book on it in the library. In his past life, his father had loved massages, and Ethan had learned a few techniques from a therapist downstairs. It had been their special time together. The memory brought a pang of sadness, and he fell silent, focusing on the massage. All right, Alex said softly, stopping him. Lie down and sleep. Aren't you tired? Ethan pulled his hands back. Not tired, but my fingers are a little sore. Alex took Ethan's hand, examining it closely. His fingers were long and slender, the nails perfectly manicured. There wasn't a callus or blemish in sight. Alex shot him a skeptical look. They look better cared for than your sister-in-law's. Look closer, Ethan insisted, pushing his right hand forward again, his lip jutting out. These two fingers are getting calluses. Alex didn't respond. Ethan lay back down, draping an arm around his neck. Alex, I still have over 300 pages left to copy. If I keep going, my fingers are going to shatter. Then there will be no one to help with your headaches. Alex ran a thumb over the smooth skin of Ethan's fingers and scoffed. So all this was just to get out of your punishment. Ethan pulled his hand back, whining that it was probably an internal injury, something you couldn't see. At this point, even the thought of Virgil made his fingers ache. Alex let out a soft laugh. After a moment, he relented. Ethan could bring the pages he had already completed to his apartment the next day. If the work was meticulous enough, he would be let off the hook for the rest. Ethan was overjoyed but asked cautiously about his allowance and the bank account his brother had frozen. He complained dramatically about having to let his friends pay for everything lately, even fabricating a story about having to borrow a few dollars from Finn for a late-night burger. Alex's chest rumbled with suppressed laughter. He promised to return everything. Is that all? No other compensation? Ethan asked, looking up. Don't push your luck, Alex said, his eyes closed. Ethan pouted. Leo got this cool little gold charm from his uncle. I want one too. Then go ask your uncle. I'm not the one who punished you and took your money. I'll have someone at a jewelry store make one for you tomorrow, Alex finally sighed. Ethan beamed, tightening his hug around Alex's neck. Thanks, Alex. Alex just hummed in response. Seeing that his brother was about to fall asleep, Ethan found a comfortable position and was about to close his eyes when he heard Alex tell him to have someone put out the lights. Ethan didn't move. Alex waited a moment, then opened his eyes. "What is it?" Ethan stammered. "Alex, can we leave a light on? I've been scared of the dark lately." Alex sat up. "You're scared, even with me here?" He frowned. "I meant to ask when I came in. Why was the common room lit up like it was daytime if you were all supposed to be asleep? Is it because of this?" Ethan was embarrassed. He mumbled for a bit before finally admitting it. "It wasn't this bad before. It's all Damien Vance's fault. He tormented me with a ghost story about a bride. And today at the wedding, you've never liked those kinds of stories. You should have just not listened." "I didn't want to listen," Ethan said, his voice rising with frustration. "But he held me down on the bed. Couldn't get away." "On the bed?" Alex repeated, his body tensing. Ethan nodded, the frustration pouring out of him. He explained how Damien, with his superior strength, had pinned him down in a dark room and forced him to listen. He complained that he had tried to tell Alex before that Damien was constantly picking on him, but Alex had never believed him, just telling him not to cause trouble. Alex studied him from head to toe. "That Damien Vance, isn't he 14? "Yeah, a year older than me," Ethan confirmed, rubbing his arms, unnerved by his brother's intense gaze. Alex closed his eyes and let out a long sigh, pressing his fingers to his temples as if his headache had returned with a vengeance. After a long moment, he lay back down. "Go to sleep. I'll make sure he stays away from you in the future." He then called out for one of the housekeepers to extinguish the main lights. As the room plunged into darkness, Ethan started to protest but was immediately pulled into an embrace. Alex began to gently pat his back, his voice soft. "A man can't be afraid of the dark. We'll start working on this tonight. Tomorrow I'll have your younger brother come stay with you for a few nights. If you're still scared after that, let me know." "Okay," Ethan answered meekly. "It seems I should give you this after all," Alex said, taking Ethan's wrist. He felt a soft cord being tied around it. He touched it. It was a braided string with 2 small, smooth beads. Alex explained it was a 5-colored longevity cord, meant to ward off evil and bring good fortune. He was supposed to have given it to him before sunrise, but hadn't had the chance. Since Ethan was so scared of things, it didn't matter. He should just wear it. A warmth spread through Ethan's chest. He fiddled with the bracelet, but his mouth was still sharp. "So, a box of barbecue gets me 5 pieces of colored string in return. You really know how to strike a bargain." Alex scoffed. "A box of barbecue from the family chef that you've already leveraged into getting a solid gold charm. And you dare call me stingy?" Ethan giggled, arguing that he would have gotten something better if Alex hadn't frozen his assets. Alex was too tired to continue their childish banter and gave him a final pat to be quiet. The tension that had existed between them for weeks had finally dissolved. Ethan felt a profound sense of peace. Relaxed and safe, he inhaled the faint, clean scent of his brother's cologne, found a comfortable position, and in moments was fast asleep.